Okay guys, in this tutorial going to show you how to make some really simple, easy origami tulips. This is beginner level origami, real easy stuff. Should be a lot of fun to make a beautiful tulip shaped flower, which tulips are in bloom in the spring, and we're all about spring in this particular video. So if you have origami paper, I highly recommend using the origami paper because it is thin, it's great for folding, and it already comes in a square shape. Most origami is done using a square shaped paper. If you do not have origami paper, you most likely have either construction paper like I do, maybe wrapping paper with some funky cool patterns and colors on it. Maybe you have just white computer paper. There's plenty of white tulips out there. There's nothing wrong with a beautiful white tulip. You could also take your white computer paper and color it before you fold it, using crayons, color pencils, markers, paint, whatever you want to do that. Now, this piece of paper I have right here is really large. I'd rather make my tulip a little bit smaller and not so gigantic. So what I'm going to do is, and I already kind of pre-creased it, I'm taking my paper and I'm folding it in half. I'm making sure I'm lining it up with my fingertips here to make sure it's not uneven. And then as my hands are holding it steady, I'm going to take my other finger and crease it down to the other end. And that kind of gives me a placeholder to know where to crease. Creasing, especially in origami, is really important. I like to use my fingernails to get a really sharp crease. If you don't have fingernails, you can use your finger or the edge of a pair of scissors or a pencil, anything. Now normally you would not need any materials to do this origami tulip except the paper, but because we don't have origami paper, at least I don't, we're going to be making our origami paper. So I want to get this to a reasonable size. So I think this size is pretty reasonable at this point. It's not as gigantic. So I got to make this into a square shape. Here is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to take one corner, okay, and I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to try to have this lower edge here match the edge on the side here. So watch how I'm doing this. I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to try my best to get this corner to match this side. All right, make it kind of a triangle shape, and you might have to try a few times to get it straight. I'm really taking my time to try to make sure it's really lined up super good. And just like I did before, when you feel like you finally got it, take your fingertips on one side, kind of spread them out, use your other finger to guide onto the side where you want to crease, so you can kind of crease it up. Okay, make sure that crease is nice because we're gonna need this crease to be here anyway for when we do it. Now what I'm gonna do is cut this extra piece off. Okay, you may have learned how to do this already before, and if you have, awesome, then you are way ahead of me. If you haven't learned how to do it, well, you're learning now. There we go. So this is actually how I want it to be. Now, if you didn't do what I did, you already had a piece of square origami paper, say it's a nice square, then here is what you're going to do. You're going to do exactly what we just did. You're going to start at one corner, go up to the other corner, line those corners up as excellent as you can, hold it steady with one finger, other finger comes down and creases. Really important you make a good crease, okay? Now I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to go from one end where the crease was to the other crease. I'm going to do it again. If you forget this step, it's actually okay. The tulip's still going to come out really good. This extra line is just going to help give your tulip a little bit of a puffiness and give you a little bit of a guideline. There we go. Now that I'm here, okay, I have this triangle shape. You should have another crease right in the middle here. And again, if you don't have this because you forgot to open it up and do it again, it's okay. Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to take this corner and we're going to lift it up, but we're not going to lift it up to meet the corner. A lot of you might expect that I want you to do this, match the point to the other point. I actually don't. What I'm going to have you do is actually, instead of going to there, you're going to stick it way out here somewhere. It doesn't really matter where, but you're going to do it at an angle. See how it's really narrow here? at the bottom, and then it gets wider as it gets to the top. That's kind of what I want you to do. So I'm going to hold it still, and as you get more layers, you're going to find it's harder to crease. So you're going to have to really kind of put a little muscle into it. Again, if you need a marker or the edge of a pair of scissors or something, or the edge of a glue stick, whatever you need to help crease your edge, that would be good. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to take this little point here, and I'm not going to go right to the point up there, which is normally what a lot of people do when they work with origami. We're actually going to go sticking way out here again. I'm going to try my best to make it match. Okay, so if I go way over here, you guys can tell that doesn't match, right? This side is way bigger than this side. We want them to be about equal. If I go way up here, they don't match, okay? Just do your best to visually make them match. So it's all right if they're not perfect. All right. We are almost done, if you can believe it. So I like to kind of let this part puff out a little bit at this point. That's why I like that crease there, because it makes it a little bit poofy, a little bit 3D, so it's not just a flat, boring piece. But tulips are curved on the side, and this is not curved. This is pointy. We don't want it to be pointy. So when you get to this point, flip the whole thing over. You should be looking at the back. I'm going to take this little corner here, and I'm just going to fold it in. Doesn't matter how far in. You don't want to go too far in. Now this is getting real thick, so I might need something to help me push it down because it's getting real thick there. And I'm going to do the same to the other side. Just fold that corner in, not to any specific place, just in. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I have, again, I'm going to poof it out a little bit. I have my beautiful tulip shape. Now this tulip shape can be added to your beautiful bouquet of flowers that you're putting together. It can be put on the cover of a card or a present or whatever you want. But here we have a really simple but effective and beautiful tulip origami piece.